Welcome to the Liberty Podcast with Clint Armitage. We are proclaiming liberty one show at a time, and the next one starts right now. Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and never leave them. It's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up now, this is America. Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and never leave them. Now it's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up, this is America. Hey, what's up? Clint Armitage, Liberty Podcast. All right, so I wanted to address something that came up after the podcast with guest host Dirk Boone. So I was listening to, it was one specific episode. It was the Old Deluder Satan Act, that episode. We talked about God in schools. And since that time, I've been really restless in my spirit about what I said in the episode. I think it was like one part or something like that. It wasn't much, but it was something that I said that I really felt, I don't know, even after I said it, I felt uneasy. And then ever since then, I felt real restless about what I said. So we were talking about God in schools, and then we were talking about allowing God back in schools. And I said God's back in schools. And what I was trying to convey was that, give every American citizen the right to worship in school. And ever since I said that, I've been restless in my spirit, and I've been praying about it. I've been studying and doing some research on it. And the more and more research I do, the more thinking about it I do, I keep coming back to the same kind of conclusion in my head. And, I waited a little while, a few days, to really see if I can get some wisdom in this. And it continually goes back to my spirit being restless about it. And the reason why my spirit is restless about it is because when I said bring God's, with an S, back into schools, I think I was saying it kind of, trying to be this, out of love or whatever, out of tolerance, out of letting people, worship the way they want to, because obviously in America, it's our right to worship how we want to. And I think that was the problem. I think I focused on the right to worship rather than what America was founded upon. So what I mean is, when I said, allow God's back into school, I was saying, everybody should have that right to worship who they want to, that kind of thing. But really, as I think about it, America was founded on biblical principles, not any other gods. So schools were set up with biblical principles, biblical precepts, biblical concepts, like the law that was passed that we talked about, the Old Deluder Satan Act, right? That was to teach scripture. There was supposed to be one person that was assigned to teach scripture to elementary age kids so that they can learn to read and write. And the Bible was the textbook for school for that age. So, what I'm kind of trying to say is, it should have been like this. I should have said it like this, that everybody has the right to worship who they want to. However, what's going to be provided is a Christian worldview, Christian education, because that's the way it was set up. It was set up for Christian education, and then if you don't want to, with the First Amendment, that's okay. You're allowed to still come to school. You're allowed to still learn, but the curriculum and the basis and the foundation was biblical. And so what I did was I said that allow all gods back into school. But really, when I go back to the founding principles of America, it's really just about God, the God of the Bible, being taught in schools. That's the original plan. That is what the founding fathers instituted. That is why that law came about in 1647. Remember, the Mayflower hit the shores of Massachusetts in 1620. So, and that's when the Pilgrims, made it to shore, 1620. So within 27 years of them landing, this first public school law comes out, and it is a biblical-based foundational law. So I guess that was my big issue and why my spirit was restless about that whole thing after I had said that and the stuff I said in the episode. And I think Dirk was right on with all the stuff he was saying and with his beliefs. And then when it came out of my mouth, I recognized there was something wrong. Like it just did not feel right when it came out. And of course, we just kept on talking. And then as I continued to think about it over the days, I started to realize, wait a minute, my spirit is restless about what I said about allowing gods back into school. And so I just wanted to switch that point up and talk about the fact that it's not gods. Now, the First Amendment allows you the right to worship who you want, but in schools, the original foundation was biblical. So you have the freedom to worship the God of the Bible because that's what's going to be taught in school. This is again the foundations of America's public schools, but you also have the right not to. Now, everything's going to be taught, through a Christian worldview, but you have the choice not to. I guess that's what it comes down to, and that's what I'm trying to convey here is that, everybody has the right to worship who they want, or whoever God you want to worship. But biblically, America was founded on those biblical concepts, biblical precepts. And so we're not saying you have to do it, but that's what's going to be offered. That's what's going to be there in the public schools. And of course, that changed over time. But if we're going back to look at the founding fathers and how things were set up at that time, then that's kind of how it was, because everything was done and taken from inspiration from biblical law and biblical foundations. That's how they set up everything. That's how they set up all the, the laws. And that's how they had the Mayflower Compact, and they had those documents and those ideas. All these things comes from the Bible. And so it would be obvious that even schools would be set up with a biblical foundation. So anyway, I just had to speak about that, and I had to take a minute or a few minutes to kind of explain what I was thinking there, because it really started bothering me that that's what I said. And, although I didn't mean it maybe necessarily the way it came out, but it still bothered me that I said that I said allow gods into school, because that's not what I meant. That's not what I believe. I don't think we should allow gods in school, because America's schools were founded on only the God of the Bible. Just go back to the 1600s, research the Pilgrims, and you'll know exactly how the schools were set up. So anyways, thanks for listening. I just had to get that off my chest. I felt like I had to actually say something. Like I couldn't just let it go and let it pass and then let people hear it and not give, my real feelings on it, or just let it bypass and forget about it. Had to say something. It just really, again, restless in my spirit. It's exactly what it was. So thanks for listening to me. It's just an update to the Old Deluder Satan Act, and we'll get back into other programs on our next episode. All right. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to get in touch. info@clintarmitage.com. If you want to pray for this episode, if you want to support the podcast, buy a t-shirt. The Liberty t-shirts are really cool. I got one the other day. Pretty awesome. Or anything else you want to support, just go to the website and let us know or make a purchase. Until next time, stay safe, stay motivated, and seek liberty.
Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and I believe them. It's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up now, this is America. Our soldiers died for your freedom. God gave us all rights and I believe them. Now it's time to step up for your freedom. So rally up, this is America.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Liberty Podcast with Clint Armitage. If you want to get in touch, email us at info@clintarmitage.com.